I'm a teacher, and I owe $52,147 in student loans. Every single month I run the same impossible math: rent, groceries, utilities, loan payment. Something always has to give. Usually it's the groceries. I was drowning financially, so I applied for a corporate job that would pay me nearly double what teaching did. I was ready to walk away from the thing I loved most, simply because I couldn't afford to keep doing it. Then I logged into my loan servicer's portal and saw a number I didn't believe. $0. Someone had wiped out my entire debt. A total stranger. The note attached read, "This payment is an investment, not a gift. Continue teaching. You'll understand in 30 years. I spent weeks trying to figure out who'd done it and why. When I finally learned the truth, it changed everything. Not just my career, but what I understood about investing in someone's future. Before I get into it, has someone ever helped you in a way that changed your life? Tell me in the comments. And if stories about unexpected generosity are your thing, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now let me walk you through that day. I grew up in a small town in rural Kansas, where nobody in my family had ever set foot in a college classroom. My dad worked construction, my mom cleaned houses, and neither of them understood why I wanted university when I could have just gotten a job straight out of high school. But I'd always loved learning. Always loved being around kids, and I wanted to teach. So I took out loans. A lot of them, federal, private, whatever I could get approved for. I went to a state school, lived as cheaply as I could manage, worked 2 part-time jobs, earned my bachelor's in elementary education, then a master's because the pay bump seemed worth it at the time. By the time I graduated and landed my first real teaching job, I owed $52,840. At 22, that number felt abstract. I'll pay it off eventually, I told myself. I'm doing what I love. 5 years later, at 27, that same number felt like a noose. I moved to Denver 3 years ago to teach at Oakwood Elementary. A solid school in a middle-class neighborhood, great kids, supportive staff. I love the job, but I make $46,000 a year before taxes. After taxes, after the loan payment, after rent on my tiny studio, after utilities and groceries and gas for my ancient Honda Civic, I have maybe $200 left each month. And that's only if nothing goes sideways. No car repairs, no getting sick, nothing breaking. I don't go out with friends. I don't take vacations. My clothes come from thrift stores. I eat ramen more often than I'd like to admit. And every month I send $450 toward my loans, which barely covers the interest. The principal hardly budges. At this rate, I'd be paying these off until I'm 50. But I still love the work. Shaping kids' lives, being someone they learn from beyond just the textbook. Someone who teaches life lessons too. Take last September, for instance, when a new student joined my class. His name was Isaac Park. 8 years old, quiet, withdrawn. He sat at the back and barely spoke to anyone. His file mentioned a recent divorce. He was living with his father, seeing his mother every other weekend. A note from the school counselor read, "Keep an eye on Isaac, he's struggling with the transition." For the first few weeks he was practically invisible. Never raised his hand, never volunteered an answer. At recess he sat alone on the bench while the other kids played. His grades started slipping, not because he lacked ability, I could see the intelligence in his eyes, but because he'd stopped trying. Assignments came in half finished. He zoned out during lessons. One afternoon in late September, I called his father. "Mr. Park, this is Maddie Chandler, Isaac's teacher. Do you have a minute? Is Isaac in trouble?" "No, not in trouble, but I'm concerned. He's struggling academically and seems very withdrawn. I'd like to help, but I need to understand what's happening at home." A long pause. Then Justin Park, Isaac's father, sighed. The divorce finalized in August. Isaac's had a hard time with it. Angry at first, now just sad. "I don't know how to reach him. Would it be all right if I spent some extra time with him after school? Tutoring, but also just talking. Being a steady presence." "You do that?" "Of course. That's what teachers do." "Miss Chandler, thank you." "Yes, please. Anything that helps." So 3 afternoons a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I stayed late with Isaac. I wasn't paid for it. After-school tutoring wasn't in my contract. But he needed help, and I wasn't going to let him fail just because his parents' marriage hadn't survived. At first it was purely academic: reading, math, handwriting. He was behind in everything, not from inability but because he'd simply stopped trying. Why does it matter? He asked one day in October, staring at a math worksheet. Why does what matter? School. Homework. Any of it. Everything's falling apart anyway. My heart cracked a little. Isaac, I know things are hard right now. I know your family's going through a lot of changes. But school matters because you matter. Your education matters. Your future matters. And I'm here to help you, no matter what's happening at home. Okay. He looked up at me with those sad 8-year-old eyes. You're not going to leave? No. I'm not going to leave. I'm your teacher. I'm here for you. Slowly, very slowly, Isaac started opening up. Not about the divorce, not at first, but about other things, his favorite video game, the recipe his grandmother had taught him, the dog his mom got after she moved out. And as he opened up, he started trying again. Assignments started coming in complete. His scores climbed. By December he was reading at grade level. By January passed it. Mid-January brought parent-teacher conferences. Justin Park's slot was 6 p.m. He showed up right on time, looking exhausted but hopeful. Mr. Park, Isaac's doing so much better, I said, showing him the progress reports. His readings improved 2 grade levels in 4 months. His math scores are way up. And socially he's making friends, participating in class. He's smiling again. Justin's eyes filled. I know. I see it at home too. He's talking more, laughing. He actually told me about his day yesterday. That hasn't happened since the divorce. He's a great kid. He just needed some support. Miss Chandler, I know you've been staying after school with him 3 times a week. I know that's not part of your job. I know you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart. His voice cracked. You saved my son. When everything was falling apart, you were there. You gave him stability, hope. You reminded him someone cares. My own eyes went wet. I care about all my students. Isaac just needed a little extra. If there's anything I can do to thank you, anything, please tell me. I smiled. Just keep being there for him. Keep being a good dad. That's all he needs. Justin nodded, but something in his expression told me he wanted to do more. February passed, then early March. My car broke down on a Tuesday in early March, transmission trouble, going to run me $100 I flat out didn't have. I called a tow truck, had it hauled to a mechanic, and resigned myself to the bus for a while. That afternoon, Justin came to pick Isaac up from school, and spotted me at the bus stop across the street. Miss Chandler? Car trouble. Yeah. Transmission shot. I'll figure it out. Where do you live? I can give you a ride. Oh, you don't have to. Please. It's the least I can do. So I accepted. Isaac sat quietly in the back seat, reading. I rode up front, bag on my lap. We made small talk. Justin was a software engineer, he told me, had been at a startup for 6 years, long hours but good people. When we reached my apartment, I thanked him profusely and grabbed my bag from the back seat, not realizing until later that I'd left something behind, a folder holding my job application. I'd applied the week before for a corporate training position at a company called Summit Solutions, which trained corporate employees on software systems, paid $78,000 a year. I hadn't told anyone I was applying, not my principal, not my colleagues, not even my best friend Julianne, who taught 4th grade down the hall. But that application was sitting in Justin's car, and I had no idea if he'd seen it. On Saturday, March 15th, I woke up early and did what I do every month. Logged into my loan servicer's portal to check my balance and schedule a payment. I expected the usual number, $52,147, maybe a few dollars less if I got lucky. Instead, the screen loaded to $0. I stared, blinked, refreshed. Still zero. My first thought, system error. My second thought, this is going to be a nightmare to untangle. I called the servicer the moment they opened at 8 Eastern, 6 a.m. my time. Great Lakes Student Loan Services, this is Monica. How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling about my account. There's an error. It's showing 0, but I owe over $52,000. Let me pull that up. Can I get your account number? I gave it to her. Okay, Miss Chandler. I'm showing your loan was paid in full on March 14th. Yesterday. Electronic transfer of $52,147. My hand started shaking. That's not possible. I didn't pay it. No, ma'am. The payment came from a third party. A trust fund. What trust fund? I don't have a trust fund. The payment came from an entity called the 2054 Educational Foundation. I don't understand. Who would pay off my loans? I'm not able to disclose that, ma'am. But there's a note attached to the payment. Would you like me to read it? Yes. Please. A pause while she pulled it up. It says, for Maddie Chandler. This payment is an investment, not a gift. Continue teaching. You'll understand in 30 years. Signed, a friend from the future. I couldn't breathe. Can you read that again? She did. I thanked her, hung up, and sat on my couch in total shock. Some anonymous person had wiped out my entire student debt, over $50,000 in a single payment, and told me to keep teaching, said I'd understand in 30 years. Called Julian right away. Maddie, it's 6 a.m. What's wrong? Someone paid off my student loans. What? All of it. $52,000. Gone. Paid in full. Who? I don't know. Odyssey. They left a note saying it's an investment and I'll understand in 30 years. Julian went quiet for a beat. Maddie, are you sure this is real? Not a scam. I called the servicer. It's real. The money cleared. My balance is 0. Oh my God. I don't know what to do. Who would do this? I don't have rich relatives. None of this makes sense. Maybe it's someone whose life you changed. A former student. Jules, I've only been teaching 5 years. My oldest former students are like 12. They don't have $50,000. Their parents, then? Maybe. But why anonymous? And why that strange note about 30 years? I don't know. But Maddie, this is a miracle. Don't question it. Accept it. I can't just accept $50,000 from a stranger. Yes, you can. Whoever did this wants you to have it. They want you to keep teaching. So keep teaching. But I couldn't let it go. I needed to know who'd done this. Over the weekend I dug in, Googled the 2054 Educational Foundation. Nothing came up. It wasn't a registered nonprofit. Just a name attached to a trust fund. 2054, 30 years from now. The note said I'd understand in 30 years. Was that connected? I made a list of possibilities. First, a former student's parent, but none of the parents I'd worked with had that kind of money. Oakwood was middle class, comfortable but not wealthy. Second, some random philanthropist, but why me specifically out of thousands of drowning teachers? Third, someone who knew I was thinking about leaving teaching. The note said continue teaching, which meant they knew I was considering stopping. That last thought stopped me cold. Only one person knew I was weighing a departure, well, two if you counted Summit Solutions' HR department. I hadn't told anyone else. Except the application had been sitting in Justin's car. Had he seen it? Monday morning I went to school determined to focus on my students and not obsess over the mystery payment. That lasted until lunch, when Principal Roberts called me into her office. Maddie, can I talk to you for a minute? I followed her in, stomach sinking, wondering if I'd done something wrong. I got an interesting call this morning, she said. From Summit Solutions. They said you interviewed with them last week for a corporate training role. My face went hot. Yes, I applied. I'm sorry, I should have told you. You don't need to apologize. Teachers are allowed to look for other jobs. But Maddie, I have to ask, are you leaving? I don't know. I love teaching. I love this school. But I'm drowning financially. That job pays nearly double what I make here. I don't want to leave, but I don't know if I can afford to stay. Principal Roberts nodded slowly. I understand. Teaching doesn't pay nearly what it should, and you're one of the best teachers I have. If you go, it's a real loss for our kids. But I can't ask you to sacrifice your financial security for this job. I haven't decided anything yet. Well, let me know when you do. And Maddie, whatever you choose, you have my support. That afternoon after school, I was tidying my classroom when someone knocked. Justin Park stood in the doorway. Mr. Park, is everything okay? Is Isaac all right? Isaac's fine, he's at my mom's. Can I talk to you a minute? Of course. Come in. He closed the door behind him and stood awkwardly in the middle of my classroom, taking in the alphabet posters and the kids' artwork on the walls. I took a breath. I'd been building toward this for days. It was you, wasn't it? I said. He looked at me. What? My student loans. Someone paid them off 3 weeks ago. $52,147. Anonymous donor. A trust fund called the 2054 Educational Foundation. I watched his face closely. It was him. He didn't deny it, didn't look surprised I'd worked it out. He just nodded slowly. Yes, it was me. Even though I'd been nearly certain for a week, hearing him actually say it made my knees go weak. I sat down at my desk. Why? I asked. Justin, why would you do that? He pulled up one of the tiny student chairs and sat across from me, looking absurd in it but somehow vulnerable too. Because you saved my son. His voice cracked on the last word. Maddie, when Isaac started your class in September, he was broken. The divorce wrecked him. He was failing school. He'd stopped talking, stopped caring about anything. I was terrified I was losing him. He wiped his eyes. And then you stayed after school with him 3 times a week for months. Unpaid. Not required. But you did it anyway. Because you cared, because you saw a kid who needed help and you helped him. That's my job. No. Your job is second-grade curriculum from 8 to 3. Everything else, the after-school tutoring, the phone calls, the extra attention, the emotional support, that was you. Your kindness. Your dedication. He looked at me intently. By December he was doing better academically. But more than that, he was doing better emotionally. He was happy again. Talking to me, laughing, being a kid. Because of you. You gave me my son back. I felt tears on my face. So when I saw that job application in my car, Justin went on, I understood. You were leaving teaching not because you don't love it but because you're drowning in debt. You were being forced to choose between your passion and your financial survival. How did you even have that kind of money? I asked, still trying to process everything. 3 weeks ago my company got acquired. The startup I've been at for 6 years, bought out by a bigger tech firm. Deal closed February 14th. I was one of the founding engineers, had equity in the company. When it sold, my shares came out to about $4.2 million. After taxes, I netted around $2.8 million. Couldn't speak. $2.8 million. An incomprehensible sum to me. I don't need $2.8 million, Justin said. I need enough to live comfortably, give Isaac a good life, save for his college. Maybe $1 million total. The rest, Maddie, it's just numbers sitting in a bank account. But for you, $50,000 was the difference between staying in a career you love and leaving it. So I thought, what if I removed that obstacle? What if I made it so you could choose to teach instead of being forced out? Justin, I can't accept this. It's too much. It's already done. The loan's paid. You can't return it. The servicer won't take repayment. The trust was set up specifically for this. It's irreversible. But why didn't you just tell me? Why anonymous? Why the cryptic note? He smiled faintly. Because if I'd come to you and said, I want to pay off your student loans, you'd have said no. Too proud, too uncomfortable. This way, by the time you figured out it was me, it was already done. You couldn't refuse. He was right. If he'd asked first, I'd have said no. And the note? I asked, about understanding in 30 years? That's something I want to explain. But Maddie first, are you angry with me for doing this without asking? I thought about it. Was I angry? No. Overwhelmed, confused, grateful beyond words, but not angry. No, I said. I'm not angry. I just don't know how to process this. Justin, you changed my life. You gave me back my freedom, my choice, my future. How do I even begin to thank you for that? You don't thank me. You just keep teaching. Keep being the person who stays after school for kids like Isaac. Keep making a difference. That's all the thanks I need. I went home that night in a daze. $52,147 gone just like that. For 5 years that debt had been a weight around my neck, shaping every decision, where I lived, what I ate, whether I could afford to fix my car. And now it was gone. I called my mom. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Something incredible happened. I told her everything, Isaac, Justin, the loan. She was quiet a long moment. Then, honey, do you remember when you told us you wanted to go to college? Yeah. You and Dad tried to talk me out of it. Because we were scared. We didn't have money for college, didn't understand that world. We thought you were setting yourself up to fail. I know. But you went anyway. Took out those loans, worked your way through school, became a teacher. And Maddie, we were wrong. You didn't fail. You found your purpose. And now someone's telling you, keep doing it. Keep being a teacher. Keep changing kids' lives. But Mom, it's so much money. So what? He has it. You need it. He wants to give it. Accept the gift, Maddie. Accept it, and keep doing what you were meant to do. The next day I called Summit Solutions. Hi, this is Maddie Chandler. I interviewed for the corporate training position last week. I'm calling to withdraw my application. I've decided to stay in teaching. Thank you for the opportunity. Then I went to Principal Roberts' office. I'm staying, I said. I'm not leaving Oakwood. She smiled. I'm so glad. That weekend Justin invited me to coffee to explain the note. We met at a small cafe near the school. He ordered black coffee, I ordered a latte I could actually afford now. The note, I said. Why did it say I'd understand in 30 years? Justin smiled. How old are you? 27. And you'll probably teach until at least 57, right? Maybe longer. Probably. That's 30 years. Maddie, think about how many students you'll have. 20 kids a year for 30 years. That's 600 children. 600 lives you'll touch. And it doesn't stop there. Those kids grow up, become parents, teachers, leaders. They pass on whatever you taught them. Your influence ripples forward. He paused. This isn't a gift. It's an investment. I'm investing in the 600 kids you'll teach over the next 30 years. Kids like Isaac who need someone to believe in them, someone to care. In 30 years, when you look back at your career, you'll see hundreds of lives you changed. And you'll understand. You'll understand why I did this. I wiped my eyes. But what if I don't live up to that? What if I'm not as good a teacher as you think? You will be. As you already are. Isaac isn't the first kid you've helped, and he won't be the last. You're exactly the kind of teacher who belongs in a classroom. And now you can be, without the financial stress, without the constant worry. You can just teach. That was 6 months ago. It's September now, a new school year. I have a fresh class of second graders, 20 bright-eyed 7- and 8-year-olds counting on me to teach them, challenge them, help them grow. Isaac's in 3rd grade now. I see him in the hallway sometimes. He waves and grins. He's thriving. My student loans are gone. My car's fixed. I moved to a slightly bigger apartment, nothing fancy, but the bedroom's actually separate from the living room, which feels like luxury. I'm still a teacher making $46,000 a year, but I'm not drowning anymore. I can breathe. And every day, standing in front of my classroom, I think about what Justin said. 600 kids over 30 years. 600 chances to make a difference. I think about the note, you'll understand in 30 years. I don't fully understand yet. I'm only 6 months into this. But I'm starting to. I'm a better teacher now, more present, more patient, more creative, because I'm not exhausted by financial anxiety. And maybe that's the real investment Justin was talking about. Not just in the students I'll teach, but in the teacher I get to become once I'm free to fully embrace this calling. Sometimes I picture what my life would look like 30 years from now if I'd taken that corporate job. I'd be 57, financially comfortable, probably retired early with a solid 401k. A nice house, maybe some travel, maybe some hobbies, but I wouldn't have the 600 students. I wouldn't have the kids who needed me the way Isaac did. I wouldn't have the moment a struggling reader finally sounds out a word. I wouldn't have the hand-drawn cards that say, "You're the best teacher ever." I wouldn't have parents crying while thanking me for saving their child. I wouldn't have a life this full of meaning. And maybe that's exactly what Justin understood when he paid off my loans, that some people are meant to do work that matters more than it pays, and those people need someone willing to invest in them. Not as charity, but as an investment in every life they'll go on to touch. Isaac's mom sent me a card last month. Dear Ms. Chandler, I don't think we've properly met, but I wanted to thank you. Justin told me what you did for Isaac last year, how you stayed after school with him, how you carried him through the worst time of his life. I was so wrapped up in my own pain during the divorce that I didn't see how much he was struggling. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see. Thank you for being there when I wasn't able to be. You changed his life. You probably saved it. I will never forget that. With gratitude, Jennifer Park. I told Julianne the whole story a few weeks back. She cried. Maddie, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I still can barely believe it happened. Do you ever worry you owe him something? That you have to live up to some impossible standard now? Sometimes. But then I remember what he said. It's not a gift, it's an investment. And investments aren't about obligation, they're about belief. He believes I'll make a difference. So I just keep doing what I was already doing. Keep teaching. Keep caring. Keep showing up for the kids who need me. You're going to change so many lives, Maddie. I hope so. That's all I want, to look back someday and know that I mattered, that I helped. This morning I got to school early. I do that now, not because I have to, but because I want to. I like being in my classroom before the chaos starts, like preparing, like the quiet. I was writing the day's agenda on the board when Principal Roberts knocked. Maddie, can I talk to you a minute? Of course. She stepped in and shut the door. I wanted to tell you something. This is confidential, but I think you should know. We got a donation to the school this week, anonymous, $100,000. The donor specified it go toward teacher supplies, classroom materials, and support for students in need. That's amazing. Who donated it? I don't know. It came through a trust fund, the 2054 Educational Foundation. I went very still. What? Does that name mean something to you? I nodded slowly. Yeah, it means something. Justin hadn't just invested in me. He'd invested in my whole school, in every one of my students, in all of us. After school I called him. The donation to Oakwood. That was you, wasn't it? He didn't deny it. Yes. I wanted to. Maddie, you're not the only great teacher at that school. And your students aren't the only kids who deserve resources. I had the money. The school needed it. Easy call. You're changing lives. You know that, right? No. You're changing lives. I'm just removing obstacles. Same thing. Maybe. He paused. Maddie, Isaac asks about you all the time. Wants to know if you're still his teacher. I keep explaining you teach second grade and he's in third now, but he doesn't care. As far as he's concerned, you're his teacher forever. I smiled. Tell him I'm still here. Still teaching. I'm not going anywhere. I will. And Maddie, thank you for staying. I'm 27. I've got 30 years of teaching ahead of me. 600 students. Countless lives changed. I don't know what the world will look like in 30 years. I don't know if I'll still be at Oakwood, or somewhere else entirely, a different school, a different city. I don't know if teaching will have changed or if I will have. But I know this, in 30 years I'll look back at March 15, 2024, the day a stranger paid off my student loans, and I'll understand. I'll understand that Justin Park didn't just save me from debt. He saved me from a lifetime of wondering, what if I'd stayed in teaching, how many kids would I have helped, how many lives would I have changed? Now I'll never have to wonder because I'm staying. I'm teaching. I'm investing 30 years of my life in 600 children. And in 30 years, when I retire and look back on my career, I'll finally fully understand what Justin meant. This was never a gift, it was an investment. And the return measured not in dollars but in lives changed, futures shaped. Kids who grew up knowing someone believed in them will be infinite. Has someone ever helped you in a way that changed your life? Or led you to stay in work that mattered more than it paid? Share your story in the comments. If this one about teachers' unexpected generosity and investing in futures touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like it. And don't forget the notification bell so you never miss the next one.